The Hebrew Israelites, brothers and sisters, 12 tribes of Israel scattered all over the earth. Welcome back. This is your Moreh Yeshu Ben Yireh Israel, and I just want to take this moment to thank you. Thank you so much for your subscriptions. Thank you for your likes and your comments. And my brothers and sisters, glad to be back with you again. Last session we did was part 9, and we're dealing with anguish and praise. Before we get into Psalm 22 verse 23, which is where we're going to start today. My brothers and sisters, a few days ago we celebrated Juneteenth, and to many of us it's not that important. Okay, we know that there's still many states that still don't recognize it, and if they recognize it, some of the counties don't, and quite a few people don't recognize it. And when we come to think about us as a people, Hebrew Israelite people, my brothers and sisters, some of us don't even think about it. You say Juneteenth, they say, what? Well, Monday, there are a group of people, African Americans, that they came to Jamaica to spend the vacation. And so I said to them, I met them and said, okay, how do you feel about today? He said, what about today? What? I said, Juneteenth. Oh. He said, you know, we are at work, I don't get any time off to celebrate it. He said, the reason why I'm off today because I'm on a vacation. And so I, try to start a little conversation about what do you think, and my brothers and sisters, if we take this kind of position, what do you want other people to do, especially those who are not of our race? What do you want them to do? Very important. And I was listening to the lady who was the vice chair of the Juneteenth, where she walked from Texas all the way to Washington, so she could get some papers signed. And it happened during President Obama's leadership. And of course, he'd been fighting for all this time in there to get this thing done. It would not ratify. The present president, he was able to do it, sign the paper 2 years ago. And so make it, by signing the paper, making it an official holiday. Okay, so we praise YAHUAH for that. And for those Gentile people who helped to push paper through, so that, we can have some form of recognition. But my brothers and sisters, all of this, we know time passed by, and time is going to come and pass, and moment is going to come and pass, and after a while we won't even, think about Juneteenth. But can you imagine? It was on the East Coast of the United States where Hebrew Israelite people were free from slavery. And on the West Coast, nobody knew about it. It took years for them to understand that they were really free. Something similar to this happened in South America, in Brazil. A group of people called it Quilombola. You know, it was years that they were free from slavery. But years they were up into the interior and did not know that they were free. Did not know that they were free. And my brothers and sisters, if you don't know about your freedom, if you cannot understand your freedom, 400 years, my brothers and sisters, 400 years, we've been pushed. I'm not talking about our ancestors that passed up many other years before. Talk about 400 years like a present time, for, you know, a couple generations back. And they suffered, they were pushed around, they were ill-treated, you know. My brothers and sisters, you talk about, you talk about people, thousands, hundreds of thousands of our people suffered through what they call slavery, making the European people rich. After 400 years of servitude, ill treatment, losing their hands, losing their feet, by them trying to free themselves, get beaten by dogs and, you know, chased down and thrown in the river, thrown in the lakes. Our bodies were food for the alligators, the wild animals. Here in America. Here in America. And then in the Caribbean, where the Europeans treated us worse than the animals. Yes, my brothers and my sisters, but we praise YAHUAH for the opportunity that we have. Even now, we can continue on our journey back to Abaya. So here the psalmist is saying, as we deal with anguish and praise, anguish and praise. In verse 23, Psalm 22, verse 23 said here, ye that fear YAHUAH, praise him. We respect, we honor him. We fear him. He said we have to praise him, all seed of Jacob. And we have to glorify him. We have to fear him, all the seed of Israel. Praise be to his name. I'm not talking about present day Israel. We're not talking about European people down there in Israel. We talk about when Israel was Israel. When Israel were us. And he said, ye that fear YAHUAH. I want us to look at the word fear there, because the word fear is from the word Yahweh. And the word means to be fearful or to be afraid. To be fearful or to be afraid. And it comes from another word. Yahweh, fearing, morally, reverent YAHUAH. To be afraid and to be fearful affright, be make afraid of. When we talk about afraid, it's dreadful, put in fearful reverence, terrible act. And it comes from a primitive root, my brothers and sisters. To fear morally, or to revere, to cause to frighten, to be affright, to make afraid, like I said before, dreadful, to put in fear, be had in reverence. Those who give reverence to Yahweh, fear Him to see terrible act, fearful thing. Praise His holy name. Ye that fear Yahweh. Ye that fear Yahweh. You have to praise Him. Give Him praise, my brothers and sisters. Praise Him for all His goodness, for all His mercies. My brothers and sisters, praise His holy name. And then He said, all His seed of Jacob. The word seed there is the word Zerah. And this Hebrew word here, Zerah, my brothers and sisters, it's talking about like a sowing seed or the offspring of Jacob, my brothers and sisters. Like a sowing, it's as an offspring, Zerah. The word here, my brothers and sisters, Zerah, it is Zerah. This thing is pushing it, running up on the air. Just a moment, get back to my. The word Zerah here, being afraid and fearfully, fearing morally, Zerah. And sowing the seed here is offspring, the offspring of Jacob. And what he's saying here is like a child or a fruitful, like we talk about seed time, sowing time. Zerah, figuratively, is a fruit or plant or sowing time, posterity. Carnally, a child, fruitful seed time, sowing time. And so, not only that we have to fear Him, who are the seed or the offspring of Jacob, but He said we are to glorify Him. To glorify Him. The word glorify here is kabad. Kabad. It is kabad. And it is ket, bet, and kabad, and dalet. And when they talk about here, is to be heavy or weighty or burdensome. That's what the words really mean. But it means that in a good sense. And so it's abounding with the more grievously afflict, both be chargeable, that's kabad. It comes from the word kabed, a primitive root, to be heavy, in a bad sense, burdensome, severe, dull, or in a good sense, we talk about the numerous rich, honorable, severe, dull in the bad sense, but good in rich, causatively, to make weighty, And in the same sense, abounding with more, glorious things, glory, great, you know. So you have the opposite of being burdensome or grievous, to be heavy, in the sense of honor, noble, to prevail or to promote or to honor, to be rich, you know. So he said, ye that fear YAHUAH, praise him. All the seeds of Jacob, he said, glorify him. My brothers and sisters, we are to give glory to YAHUAH for what he has done for us. Praise his holy name for what he has done for us, my brothers and sisters. And I want to notice here that he said we are to not only glorify him but no fear him. Because the word fear here is a word, like, is a different word from Zai. This word is gur, the Hebrew word gur. It's gimel, and vav and resh. And this word here, my brothers and sisters, means to sojourn, abide or sojourn. To abide, fear him. And so all the seeds of Israel, it's a fear him. And so what is talking about here is being like an assembly, to be afraid or to dwell or fear together, inhabitants. A primitive root properly to turn aside from the road, for a lodging or, for any other purpose. That is to sojourn or, as a guest. Also to shrink, fear, as in a strange place. Also, to gather for, the hostility, people gather for hostile reason, as being afraid. Abide, assembly, or being afraid, or to dwell, fear, together, an inhabitant, to remain, or to sojourn, or to stand in awe. Praise his holy name. Praise his holy name. In verse 24, he said, for he had not despised nor abhor the affliction of the afflicted. That is, YAHUAH has not turned aside. He has not despised us. He has not turned aside. My brothers and sisters, a lot of time we're going through struggle and we think sometimes, well, if YAHUAH is our Elohim, then why is it that he hasn't come to our rescue? Why? Why has he not show up at the time when we need? My brothers and sisters, he never late. He may tarry a long time in your mind because you're looking at a time frame that is different from YAHUAH's time frame. Because sometimes you're going to ask for YAHUAH you're going to make a request to YAHUAH. And you're looking that, well, by tomorrow this time, and YAHUAH is saying, no, he's going to do it earlier. And he does it earlier. And somehow you say, man, I didn't know it was going to come so quickly. So it happens so fast that you forget that you had asked YAHUAH for something. And so, my brothers and sisters, YAHUAH's time is different time from your time. You may have to wait longer. And sometimes you don't have to wait at all. Just say it and it happens. Depends on your needs, and it depends on YAHUAH's time. We, in his will, we need to pray and ask him. it is His will. Many times we want our will to override His will, and it's not going to happen. So, my brothers and sisters, don't lose your mind trying to do something that YAHUAH doesn't want you to do. We're going to come back when our time is gone for this session. So we're coming back to verse 24. So in the meantime, I'm going to ask you to be a blessing to someone today and walk with the King. Shalom.